Hey there, Rappies. Rapper9198 here, and welcome to another edition of Ryan's Day Reading. So today I'll be reading chapter 19 of I'll Push You, titled We're Not Alone in Here. So, I think again the recap from the previous chapter, Patrick and Justin have really been reflecting on their lives, like mostly like their families, and how they've learned that they haven't been giving themselves to their families as much as they've given like to themselves to each other. Like, you know, they're learning that they have to really cherish the moments with their families more. And now also here on the map, here it says Lyon at 472 kilometers. Yep, so I think they're a little past the halfway point of their journey here, so we're getting there. We have this much of the book left, so it's excited to see where things go. So, all right, so here's chapter 19. We're not alone in here. And then we're starting with Justin's perspective here. While the Meseta continues to challenge us mentally and emotionally, the past few days have taken a physical toll on Patrick. The constant day in, day out of pushing the chair has affected his legs, and now he has significant pain and cramping in his calves that no amount of stretching seems to alleviate. We had planned to take a rest day here in the city of Lyon, but Patrick's discomfort now has us questioning whether we should take 2 days to allow him more time to recuperate. With 19 days and 280 miles behind us, he has more than earned an extra day of rest. We opt for beds in a quaint hotel with rooms large enough to accommodate my wheelchair. Our room overlooks a large city square that is surprisingly empty for a Sunday afternoon. Adjacent to the hotel is the albergue where many pilgrims are staying, including Christy. Having decided to stay 2 nights in Lyon, we let Christy know, but we haven't seen Linda or John, who have opted for another albergue. Once settled, we set out to explore the city. After dinner, both full and satisfied, we returned to our rooms for showers and a good night's sleep. Unfamiliar voices invade my dreams, and as they get louder and louder, I wake. Eyes open in the dark room, I realize the voices aren't just in my head. Apparently Patrick can hear them too, because he's standing at the window looking down at the square below. There must be a couple hundred people down there, he says when he sees I'm awake. What time is it? 2 a.m. What are they doing? Singing, dancing, having a good old time. Like Burgos, Lyon is a large city, but it has a different feel. The streets are quieter during the day, and the nightlife is definitely more vibrant and celebratory. At least tonight. We do our best to block out the noise, but there is so much laughter drifting up to our window, we find it difficult not to smile as we drift to sleep. Somehow, in spite of the sounds and voices, we get some much needed rest and wake to the sun shining through our window. As morning draws closer to noon, we finally get dressed for the day, and Patrick stuffs our filthy, sweat-stained clothes into his backpack. We desperately need to do laundry. Once again, the city is quiet as we navigate our way to the nearest laundromat. We wash our clothes, and while we wait for them to dry, The streets gradually get busier. Christy has also decided to spend the day in Leon, and she joins us now in our exploration of the city. Well into the afternoon, we wander through town and chat with many of the locals. My wheelchair is a bit of an anomaly, and people are curious about why I'm here. When Patrick and I explain our journey and mention that we have come all the way from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, many people simply refuse to believe us. That a man in a wheelchair could have traveled this far beyond their comprehension. Outside a coffee shop, a man asks us in broken English if we are doing the Camino. Yes, we are. Where did you start? He asks. St. Jean, Patrick replies as he lifts a cup of coffee to my lips. How was the bike route on your chair? We didn't take the bike route. We went over the top on the Napoleon route. The gentleman laughs and says, No, you didn't. We talk with him for a few more minutes before we leave the cafe, but he remains unconvinced. The afternoon turns to evening, and with the setting sun comes hunger. We pick up some food to take back to the room, and when we reach the courtyard outside our hotel, we have to navigate our way through an even bigger crowd than last night. We wonder what's going on, but we're more tired than curious, so we turn in. I haven't had my eyes closed nearly long enough before screaming and yelling erupts from just below our window. 2 nights in a row, we've been awakened at 2 a.m. Tonight, however, the celebration is 10 times louder, and I can see the dancing flicker of flames reflecting on the window from a bonfire below. Even though I'm exhausted, the laughter rising up to our window makes me smile, just like last night. Lying here in the middle of the night with Patrick at the window, I'm reminded of a very different set of circumstances when he and I were pulled from sleep in the wee hours of the morning. Growing up, Growing up, my family had a 1950s cabin in Donnelly, Idaho, about 120 miles northeast of Ontario, near McCall. Patrick frequently accompanied my family on weekend excursions, and he and I would explore the woods, shoot BB guns, and walk down to the lake to fish, though I don't think we ever caught anything. When I proposed to Kirsten, she and I were staying at the cabin with my family. I still remember asking Patrick to come up to Donnelly without Kirsten knowing. He took a camera and hid in the bushes across a narrow stretch of a nearby lake. When I popped the question, he captured the moment on film. After we'd been married for several years, Kirsten and I had officially established the habit of taking a trip with Patrick and Donna every year. One particular year, when money was tighter than usual, we extended the length of our visit to Ontario to allow us to spend several days with Patrick and Donna at my family's cabin. They had recently moved to a town near Boise, so the trip to Donnelly was a short drive for all of us. The small red and white A-frame was nothing to speak of, but we had so many memories associated with the tiny living space. Downstairs boasted a family room with a wood stove, a small dining area, a kitchen, and 1 bathroom. Up a narrow set of stairs were 2 bedrooms connected by a small hallway. As boys, Patrick and I had always slept in tents on the property, but that night, the first time the 4 of us had ever stayed at the cabin together as couples, We were looking forward to the comfort of the queen-size beds. An evening of barbecued burgers, snacks, and board games kept us up late, laughing. Midnight came sooner than we expected, and we finally decided to turn in. By this point in my life, stairs had become difficult for me, but with the support from my leg braces, I was still able to make the ascent. At the top of the stairs, Kirsten and I turned right and headed into the back bedroom, while Patrick and Donna turned left. Yeah. Hold on, sorry. My dogs again. My mom and sister are out until they miss them. Let me comfort them. Okay. All right, I'm back. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Usually when I'm home by myself, usually my dogs they go a little ballistic like that because they miss my mom and sister because they're out right now. So, but I don't want to have to start this all over again. I didn't want to, but I'm just kind of being an example of again, a little example of real life, how sometimes things can happen, and yeah, but it's all right. It's all good. I calmed them down. They're good. All right. So anyways, okay. Yep. An evening. Yep. Okay. So we finally decided to turn in. So by this point in my life, yep, for Justin, yep, stairs had become difficult for me. But with the support from my leg braces, I was still able to make the ascent. At the top of the stairs, Kirsten and I turned right and headed into the back bedroom, while Patrick and Donna turned left. As we crawled into bed, the pale moonlight shining through the Juliet balcony in Patrick and Donna's room offered a faint light into ours. I had been asleep for maybe an hour when I felt something brush my face, followed by a rustling sound somewhere in the room. Confused, I peered through the darkness, hoping to figure out what was happening. When I heard the rustling again, I nudged Kirsten. Honey, I think there's something in here. Annoyed but not fully awake, she said, "No, there's not. Go back to sleep." I closed my eyes again. But not a minute later, I felt the same sensation on my face. Brushing at it wildly, like shaking my head. I felt the wings of something flap as it flew away. "Kirsten, turn on the light. I think there's a bird in here." Irritated at me for waking her again, she reluctantly reached for the bedside lamp. As soon as the light came on, I saw a black-winged shadow dart across our room and out into the hallway leading to Patrick and Donna's side of the cabin. And, crap! It's a bat! So now we go to Patrick. Sometime after we had all gone to bed that night, I woke to the sound of Justin and Kirsten whispering loudly in their bedroom. But nothing was clear enough to register until the soft light from the bedside lamp in their room fully illuminated ours. With eyes now open, I saw a black shadow dart across our room as Justin yelled, "Crap, it's a bat!" Fully awake now, I scrambled out of bed to grab my boxers. As I pulled them on, Justin came into the room, using the walls to steady himself as he walked. "Pat, there's a bat in here. It just flew into your room." "I know. I think it's on the floor on Donna's side of the bed." "What?" Donna yelled as she pulled the covers over her face to shield herself from our unwanted guest. Only her long brown ponytail stuck out from under the covers. As I crept around the end of the bed to her side, I could see a bat lying on the floor with its wings spread flat against the carpet. "What do we do?" I asked Justin. "Use your t-shirt," he suggested, pointing to my shirt on the floor. "See if you can throw it on him and scoop him up and then throw him out the window." As I leaned down to retrieve my shirt, Justin grabbed a decorative pillow at the end of the bed to use as a shield or a weapon. "If that thing flies up," he said, "I'm gonna whack it with this pillow." Somehow, we both felt equipped for the job. I squatted a few feet away from the furry creature, so I had some distance in case it flew at me. Slowly, so as not to frighten the bat, I leaned as far forward as possible and tossed my shirt onto our unwelcome visitor. Nothing happened. The bat lay motionless. Feeling a little braver, I started to scoop up the t-shirt while gathering it around the bat's body. But a series of loud squeaks erupted from beneath my hands. "It makes noise!" Kirsten yelled from the other room. "It makes noise?" Donna just let out a loud "ew" as she kicked her legs under the covers in disgust. Determined to get rid of this thing as quickly as possible and return to bed, I tried to pick up the bundle of t-shirt and winged intruder. But somehow he worked his way free and flew directly at me waist high. What happened next, I never could have imagined. So now we're back to Justin. The pillow I picked up was filled with some kind of stuffing that gave it some weight. Setting a wide stance to keep my balance, I stood at the ready as Patrick bent down to gather up the bat. When we heard the squeaks, I saw Patrick's eyes grow wide with fear as he shouted, "Oh no!" and began dancing out of the way of the black missile flying toward him. As Patrick tried to avoid the oncoming threat, his boxers shifted and he was left completely unprotected. At the very last second, the bat veered away from Patrick and flew directly at me. Without hesitation, I took a swing that would have made Babe Ruth proud. As the pillow connected with it, the bat pinwheeled through the air and landed on the front of Patrick's boxers. As the unwanted visitor latched on as the unwanted visitor latched onto the fabric of Patrick's underwear and began flapping its wings against his skin, Patrick shouted, "It's on my junk! It's on my junk!" The sensation of furry wings in a place they should never be had caused Patrick to completely lose his mind. By now, both Donna and Kirsten were laughing hysterically from the safety of their respective hiding places, and I stood, pillow in hand, ready to swing again at a moment's notice. Oh geez, okay. Filled with absolute terror, Patrick raised a closed left fist and swung toward the winged creature, hoping to dislodge it from his boxers. But in a panic, he was a little off target. Instead of striking the bat with a force meant to stun, if not kill the animal, Patrick delivered the death blow directly to his own manhood. I laughed so hard I could barely stand up. Lying at my feet was a completely dazed bat, and a few feet away, Patrick was writhing on the floor, groaning and cupping himself in an attempt to ease the self-inflicted pain. After several minutes, he recovered, threw his shirt over the still bewildered bat, and launched the entire wad of cotton fabric and fuzzy wings out the balcony window. Problem solved. Patrick and I just looked at each other in disbelief. Not sure what to do next, I simply shrugged and said, "Well, good night." We all had a hard time getting back to sleep as we kept breaking out in spontaneous laughter. All right, now we're back to Patrick. It's 5 a.m. and the party in the square has finally ended. Justin and I embrace the quiet and choose to sleep in a little later than usual. But soon the sun shining through our window is too bright, so we get up, get ready, and head out for breakfast. Our curiosity gets the best of us, and we ask around about the previous night, which was so much louder than the night before. It turns out that today, June 24th, marks the feast of St. John the Baptist. Last night's ruckus was the annual celebration of St. John's Eve, the most festive of several nights leading up to the day honoring the birth of John the Baptist. Being awakened by a party celebrating the birth of a saint and being dragged from sleep by a wayward bat that are hardly comparable stories. But neither one would have happened if not for the intentional nature of our friendship. So many memories have been made and are being made here on the Camino because of our commitment to one another. We people know who choose isolation over relationship, but then are jealous of the stories and memories others share about their spouses, siblings, parents, and friends. There is a longing for connection, yet something keeps them from fully engaging in their relationships. This desire for human connection is what many pilgrims on the Camino is what has many pilgrims on the Camino. But intentional, purposeful commitment can be difficult. Many of us commit to spending time with friends and family on holidays like Christmas or the celebration of St. John last night. After all, holidays require our attention only a few times a year. But the quality of the memories made is often determined by the depth of our relationships. This depth comes only by sacrificing time and effort, and by fully engaging in relational living, a depth that is the result of bearing witness to one another's lives. I can't help but think that much of the laughter we heard last night was the product of friends and family intentionally and purposefully spending time together. How many stories filled with joy and laughter occurred last night because of this intentional nature? How many more would occur if each day were lived with this same commitment to one another? All right, and that's it for chapter 19. So again, I think another good little message there is that, you know, it would be very nice to be able to have that much commitment to friends and family, and because it is, in ways it is better than isolation. I mean, there are times where it's like we do need time just for ourselves, don't get me wrong, but but also, being in the presence of other people and you being in the presence of others, like it's important in a way. It's, it is healthy in a way. You need, because I think if you think of human nature these days, usually you know, if you're isolated for a very long time, like it can actually like really damage your mental health, and you can literally go insane. And so again, I feel that's so important. I like how they were talking about that, because I do feel, again, really feel there is a need for that a lot more these days. And well, not just now, but all the time. Like it's like this, that should be that's a very universal message that applies to no certain period of time, but it's like all the time, like just, you know, 24/7, 365, all the time or something, you know. I think that's pretty much the gist of that there. Alrighty, well, thank you, Rappies, again very much. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And stay tuned for next time as we go into Chapter 20, Pride and Joy. Yep, so... Yep, so we only have 5 more chapters. 5 more chapters left in this book. So we're getting there. Excited to see where the journey goes and how it all ends. So, all right, thank you guys. Thank you, Rappies, very much again. Love you to death. God bless, and until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.